Hello, everyone. Today we have a very special guest, someone I'm honored to call my friend, world renowned anxiety healer and anxiety coach. Today we'll be discussing the topic of anxiety, what that means, how it affects people, and what you can do about it. So, Bibi, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to
Ha-
be here.
Happy to have you.
Thank you.
So, let's keep it simple. What is anxiety?
Great question. So, I think that's where the big confusion is because I always say I heal anxiety disorders, and people always have an argument that you can't actually heal anxiety. But yes, it's true. Anxiety as the emotion that we have, we cannot heal. But that should be just as far as fight or flight, right? If someone's approaching you with a gun, if you're about to board a plane and you're kind of nervous, if a bear is approaching you, that's the emotion of anxiety we cannot get rid of. It's impossible. But what I actually am talking about and what I help people heal are anxiety disorders. And anxiety disorders are anything that makes you stand in your own way of living your best life. So, this can be any type of fear, this can be comparison, this can be overthinking, because these are all aspects of life that make you spiral and also allow you to not reach your maximum in life. So,
Yeah.
that's what I really call an anxiety disorder.
So let's take a step back,
hmm
right? What got you into this space? How did you find yourself treating people with anxiety? What's the story?
So that's a really good question of how I started. I used to be an architect, and I was a very high functioning anxious person because I was moving to different countries. I was working everywhere. I was confident, all this stuff. But on the inside, I had carcinophobia, which was the phobia of getting cancer.
Oh wow.
And, this even though I was a very high functioning anxious person, I was never present. Even though if someone looked at my life, they were like, oh my gosh, she lives the best life. She's doing all the things she wants, she's successful, nothing stops her. But
Yeah,
on the inside, I was kind of dead. So I went to 25 therapists and I couldn't heal.
yeah,
And for me, I was kind of looking at other people in my life. Like I would look at my sister, I would look at my friends, or just people around me. And I'm like, why aren't they so obsessed with cancer? Like, why am I so obsessed with this subject? So, something has to be going on inside me,
mm,
right? And so, I just knew I could heal. I knew I could heal because I knew I was born kind of like empty and just empty and meaningless, like a blank canvas. And then along the side of lines, something happened, and I picked this obsession or this phobia.
yeah.
And so, finally, I found a coach and I worked with her for 4 years and she healed my anxiety,
Nice.
which was the nicest thing ever. And so it was kind of like once I knew I healed, there's no way I could continue in my previous career anymore because I just
Mm,
feel like I got a massive answer,
yeah,
you know? And so I just started building the business on the side. And I remember my paychecks didn't even mean anything to me anymore at my previous job, because I was just like, no, no, no. Like, if I healed, anyone can heal,
yeah.
which is funny now, even because I've healed over 400 people. I still haven't met anyone who is as bad as I was,
Wow. Okay.
So still that stands.
Which says a lot because
Yeah,
if you were able to overcome that and be in a very not bad position, but you probably felt trapped, right? Because
so trapped.
I've dealt with anxiety, and sometimes when it gets really bad, you just feel like you're trapped and you can't come out of it. So you probably can empathize with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people that have it, which is one of the big issues I have with conventional, mental health treatments.
Yep.
When you're going to a therapist or you're going to see a psychologist, psychiatrist, they will convey or try to, show that they know how to sympathize and even empathize, but most of the time you can tell there is that disconnect. So that's why I think it's, really cool that you went through that experience because then you can empathize with a lot of your patients. So how does that um, come into play? Do you treat people in a specific mindset, or is it just anyone that's dealing with anxiety?
For me, if we go look at therapists or psychologists, you can go to them for many different things. You can
Yeah,
go to them for depression, you can go for them for, different mental disorders, or you can go for just anything under the sun. I really wanted to be a niche
yeah,
of just anxiety because anxiety ruled a really large part of my life.
yeah,
And I had to go through many ups and downs to be able to fix the problem.
yeah,
Not that anxiety is a problem. I could have lived with a carcinophobia for the rest of my life, but I wouldn't live my best life. You know what
yeah,
I mean? So
yeah,
it's not like someone is broken and they need fixing and things like that. So for me, it was really important to go niche. And so with this niche, the program got developed, because there was a lot of not trial and error because I had worked so much on healing. It was just kind of like the program got developed from my own suffering
yeah,
and from everything I tried that worked and everything that didn't work. So that's what developed the program. And so inside the program, we find the root cause of anxiety. We do a massive mindset transformation, which is so big. Um, and we heal all the layers that are bleeding inside a person because with anxiety you're not actually seeing blood, right? That's why a lot of
yeah.
times it feels actually lonely. Like you tell someone I'm anxious, they're like, just don't think about it.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, because whenever you're fighting that battle with your mental state, it's not something visible, right? It's between
Exactly.
you and yourself, and to me, that in some way is more severe than actually having, a wound or, being stabbed, maybe not as bad as that, but
Yeah, but at least with those you can see it's here
yeah, you can see
and I can go to
exactly
the hospital and get
this
stitches here.
location, you can, treat it,
Exactly.
you can identify it and heal it.
Yes.
Whereas, mental health in general, I think is widely misunderstood.
Mhm.
Um, we've discussed this before. I've dealt with severe anxiety before, and I think a lot of times the understanding of it was, okay, you can overthink, and that's normal, and everyone goes through it. But I think there's a understanding that people need to have that if you're overthinking all the time, that is a form of anxiety,
It
right?
is. It is, it's interesting because we say like so I ask a lot of people, do you overthink? And they go, well, doesn't everyone? And this is now the generalized belief that
Exactly.
everybody overthinks and it's okay and it's fine and it's healthy. Sure, it's okay.
Yeah.
But a person who's an overthinker has a bad mindset. The mindset needs work because trust me, I was the biggest overthinker
Yeah.
that I've met so far.
Yeah.
It was like insane how much
Yeah.
I used to overthink. But the thing is that now that my mindset has healed, I just think and
Yeah.
there's boundaries and there's limits and then it's left there, you
Yeah.
know? And now I realize, oh my gosh, that was all anxiety.
Yeah. And what's like the threshold? So, for example, I'm involved in a lot of businesses. And for me, I always saw myself as a functional paranoid, right?
Mhm.
I'm always in the future and I'm worried about stuff in the future, which helps me become a perfectionist in the now, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want things to go wrong. So, what's the threshold between being a perfectionist, ensuring that things don't go wrong in the future, right?
Yeah.
And then actually that turning over to anxiety or actual overthinking.
So perfectionism is also a type of anxiety disorder,
Mm,
which people a lot of times say it proudly, "Oh, I'm just a perfectionist." Like, they say it as like a badger of honor, but it's
yeah.
like, it's actually an anxiety disorder. Again, one of those that people don't realize that's
So that's
ruining,
interesting.
yeah,
So
that's ruining their
if you're
lives.
a perfectionist, that's a form of anxiety.
It is because you're always aiming for perfection. But if you ask any perfectionist what's perfect, they can't answer that question. So they're aiming for something they don't even know.
Mm. So then, what's the ideal way to approach, like being good at something, right? Like if you want to perfect something, is it just focusing on the now and not worrying? Is that where the
Well, the
differentiator
problem with
is?
perfectionism is you will always self-sabotage because we don't have such a thing as perfect. It doesn't
True.
exist. So
Okay.
it always ends up backing out as self-sabotage or a feeling that you did less than. For example, I have clients that tell me they're perfectionists. And if they want to have guests over, they have to be so specific about when and what time and how many weeks prior because the lawn has to be mowed to, like, to perfection. There can't be a single dust in the house.
Yeah.
And if the party happens and one person spills a drink, they're ruined. Not because the spill of the drink, but they're like, now it's not perfect.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's not like because the person accidentally spilled the drink, they're mad.
Yeah.
They're mad because the image is now not perfect. Now there's fear of judgment. So the rest of the day, they're ruminating because when people have perfectionism, their self worth is actually attached to their achievements,
Okay.
right? So when
Yeah.
that drink spills, it's an attack to their identity.
Yeah.
I no longer look perfect. The house is no longer perfect. This is, by the way, a very small example, but in
Yeah.
business, it's messy.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Because I meet a lot of people that are running companies or have high positions in corporate. And one thing that I notice is a lot of them have this OCD, if you can call
Mm-hmm.
it that,
Mm-hmm.
which, it could be perfectionism, it could be, just ensuring everything is systematic in a certain way and
Yeah, that's
ensuring,
very different, right?
yeah,
You can want things aligned and in order and in a good place. But the moment that takes over your mindset or
yeah,
it's out of your control now. For example, if that drink spilled and they could clean it up and still have a great time and not get stuck to the future now because they're constantly thinking, what is this person thinking about me? It's not perfect. My house doesn't look beautiful. If they can l- get to a place that that doesn't even happen, the spilled drinks, and they can just look at it as that drink spilled,
yeah,
that's fine.
yeah,
That's not perfectionism anymore,
yeah.
you know?
So I want to pivot a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
Your story is very inspiring.
Thank you.
You've healed over 400 patients
Yes.
globally. Now you're based in Dubai and treating many patients here. So who's your ideal patient? Is it a CEO, a business owner, your average, corporate professional, stay-at-home moms?
Mm,
So who would be or is your ideal patient when it comes to your program?
it's so simple. Okay, because for me, I will work with anyone as long as one, they're committed.
Okay.
They don't have to believe in the results. They can be skeptical. I've had two clients out of 400 who were not skeptical. Okay.
Yeah.
The rest were all skeptical. That's fine.
Yeah.
Right. Like I knew I'm going to heal. I knew I have to heal. I was going to, but that's not the average person. The average person is actually very skeptical. Like, I'm going to heal from anxiety that I've been suffering from my whole life. So it's fine, but they have to be committed that they really want to heal and they have to be able to invest in their healing, as in mindset wise, they're going to say, okay, I don't know what's happening, but I trust and I'm invested because I want better for myself. I want more for myself. Now, that can be a stay at home mom, that can be a CEO, that can be an 18-year-old who's had a lot of trauma and he or she knows it. It's just the commitment's really important.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing.
And like one of the really cool things about your program is you can do it virtually, right?
Yes,
So someone that let's say has severe anxiety and doesn't want to do things face to face, that's a great option. And it's 8 weeks, right?
only, only.
Yeah,
Like it literally took me 14 years to heal. If there
yeah,
was a program like mine back then, oh my gosh, the amount of suffering and money. I
yeah,
spent so much money,
yeah.
that would save me.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
that's like the one thing that I respect and I love about your program is it's natural healing, and
yes.
one of the biggest issues I have is whenever I hear the term controlled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Controlled medication, or we're going to
Mm.
control your anxiety, we're going to control your psychic, we're going to control. you're overthinking. And to me, control just means numbing, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't mean healing. And I see it all the time. It happened to me personally, where anxiety was through the roof, and I wanted a solution. This is before we met, of course.
Mhm.
And every therapist, and I never believed in therapy. That's just a personal opinion, but that opinion got solidified when I went through anxiety, and every therapist and psychiatrist I saw just wanted to put me on medication.
Yeah.
And not just put me on medication, but they're like, look, you come see me for 3 to 4 years, twice, 3 times a week, you're going to get better. And to me, it's like, that is controlling maybe what I have, and it just didn't sound right.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that we're doing now in healthcare focuses not just on longevity, but focuses on natural healing.
Natural
I
healing.
love natural healing,
Yes.
using your body's own natural healing processes, and using that for your advantage to heal things. Doesn't have to be just mental health. It could be weight loss, it could be muscle gain, it could be
Absolutely.
energy. Taking medicine that's synthetic to me was never the case. So that's something that I think is really, really cool. That's part of your program, that it's a natural healer, and can really put someone on a healthy lifetime course without taking any medication, right?
Yeah. I think it's really important because um with medication, it can be, first of all, absolutely nothing against therapists, psychiatrists. They help so many people in so many ways, right? My personal belief and experience is not just my belief, but now it is a solid experience, I can say, is medication is great because some people are really, really in a really low place, right? But I think it should just be used as a clutch. So, like, you get a little bit better,
Mm,
then you have to do something different to wean off the
yeah,
medication. And you have to learn to trust your body. Our bodies are so powerful. And by the way, this is coming from someone who had cancer phobia. Like
yeah,
me, and my body's trust was negative 1 million,
mm,
you know?
mm,
And, but now that I'm in this place in my life, our bodies are so powerful. So, fine, even if you're on the like I get people off medication after 30 years they've been on it,
yeah,
and I have to literally teach them emotions again because their neurons have been so numb.
yeah,
They don't understand. They literally don't understand happy, sad, excited. They're like, well, I was really excited. That's anxiety, right? Like, I was
yeah,
really happy. That's anxiety, right? Like, everything equals anxiety to
yeah.
them now.
Because a lot of the medication that psychologists and or psychiatrists, I should say, prescribe to their patients is basically medication that kind of numbs your emotions, right? So you don't feel as
It
happy and
definitely, yeah,
excited about
decreases the
things.
intensity, right? So that's
Yeah,
why the person suddenly feels better. So because that person also has the anxiety because all their emotions are too heightened for them and they don't know what to do with them,
yeah, yeah,
But I think even psychiatrists, like, they would be happy and glad if the person, it's kind of like if you break your leg, you go get a cast, and once it's out, you're not going to wear crutches anymore. You're
yeah,
going to learn to walk again, right? I think even they would be really satisfied and happy if it was just used as a crutch and the person can still go see them,
yeah,
but without the medication, and fix their mindset.
yeah. Um, we're living in a beautiful city.
Yes.
A lot of people are moving here. Um, we're seeing a lot of traffic. We're
We
seeing
are.
a lot of businesses open here, which is creating a competitive environment, which I love because
Yes.
I am a capitalist. But with that, obviously, comes elevated levels of anxiety.
Mhm.
Just getting from point A to B, especially during rush hour, peak hours, getting to a pitch, getting to a meeting, getting to a business lunch, making sure everything goes right. So obviously, there's elevated levels of anxiety. When people are under this type of stress, what is your recommendation? Obviously, your program is a great solution, but just in general, what are things, tips that can help people deal with just day to day stress?
Yeah, I think day to day stress. obviously the first thing I will say, it goes back to mindset. But if we want to take that out of the equation here, people have to really find a way to disconnect because Dubai is filled with successful people, and we're
Yeah.
always, so we have two kinds of people. We have the people who are inspired by this success, and we have the kind of people who are always comparing themselves in this success,
Mm.
right? The ones that are inspired, even those people, which is the better kind because you use it as fuel, even those people, they have to find the time to know when to stop, when to disconnect, when to let go, right?
Mm.
So, and things that are out of their control, they need to surrender to that. They need to focus on what is in their control. Like
Mm.
if you're stuck in a traffic, it's out of your control. Why are you
Yeah.
freaking out? Why are you getting anxious? You can't do anything. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I mean, you can start taking flying taxis soon, but till
Yeah.
then, you
Yeah,
know what
very
I
soon actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But till then, if you can't control the traffic, why are you freaking out? Like, what's
Yeah.
in your control in that moment? You can call and let them know, you can send a text to update. I'm sorry I'm late.
Yeah.
It's out of your control, right?
Yeah.
Then we have the kind of people who compare themselves constantly in an environment like Dubai because we have so many successful people here.
Mm. Yeah.
It's so inspiring, but there are people who also live from a place of lack,
Yeah.
right? They're constantly comparing. And for those people, yes, they say comparison is the thief of joy and all that. We get all those quotes, fine. But the biggest problem is comparison and actually is blocking you, right? Because it's such a low frequency and it blocks you from, it's more coming from a place of fear than power,
Yeah.
right? So you need to kind of shift it and say, you don't need to compare yourself. And every time you notice you're comparing yourself to someone, change it to, oh, like if they say, look, they have this car, I don't, be inspired. Be like, if they did it, I can do it too.
Mm.
Even if it feels like you're lying to yourself in the moment, so it's just these little things throughout the day that people do but don't realize it because again, it's normal,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
And I think, yeah, like those small adjustments make a big
They make a
difference.
huge difference.
Yeah, looking at things, instead of from a negative angle. And obviously, I mean, it sounds cliche, but it is an important thing. Looking at the glass half full is
Yes.
always, going to, and one of the biggest things as well. I mean, this is from personal experience. Every time I would start my day,
Mhm.
right? And I allowed negative thoughts to kind of take over.
Yep.
Usually that day just, wouldn't go well,
No.
right? If I started off, if I was in a bad mood and I let that bad mood kind of, and of course we all have good and bad days. It's not like
Of
it's
course, that's
something,
life.
yeah, that's life. But I realized a lot of times where, I'd start and I'd be like, oh, it's a long day. I have this and this. And then I noticed it would just kind of everything. I get in the car. And then if the car is,
It's a domino effect, right?
yeah, there's a lot of traffic. So it's a domino effect. But when I started kind of reversing things and looking at, everything in a positive way, there was someone online that said, instead of saying I have to, I get to.
I get to,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I love that,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because we take things for granted. I mean, we have a
Absolutely,
lot
yeah.
of small things that we take for granted. So a lot of times with different things, I tell myself, I get to
I
do this, I
get
get
to,
to do this.
yeah.
And just small stuff like that. It is cliche, but to be honest, I mean, for me, it worked.
No,
It does
none of
work.
these things are cliche. They're just like small awarenesses, you
Yeah.
know? That's like what I also tell people a lot in the program. Like, we'll have a session, and then I'm like, you don't need to do anything right now. This is just awareness.
Yeah.
And that starts to shift the
Yeah.
mindset? So, awareness is key.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. If someone wants to get in touch
Yes,
and wants to explore more with you, again, guys, I cannot advocate what BB is doing, especially in the space. Someone that's gone through anxiety and um, was in a place where the only options was seeing a psychiatrist and medicine. It can feel like you're stuck, but um having someone that believes in natural healing, understands, can empathize, not just kind of try to sympathize, but understands how you feel, I would highly recommend
Thank you.
definitely getting in touch with BB. So if they wanted to get in touch, how do they get in touch? Where can they message you or contact you?
Yeah, so they can always reach out to me on my website, which I'm sure we'll put it up, and
Yeah.
it's theinnerroommate.com.
Okay.
And one thing I really want to point out, it's many people don't even know they have anxiety.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of set up really nice because we do a 15-minute, all the calls are free. So 15-minute call initially is free, and then we do a 1 hour free consultation.
Okay.
And this is just because it's really important for people. A lot of people don't even know if they have anxiety, to just get on a call to understand where is their mindset as, because that's the number
Yeah.
one blocker of
Yeah.
your life.
And it's important to mention 8 weeks, and then you never want to see them.
No, if they don't want to see people, still can see me for other things. Like,
Yeah.
for example, when people heal their anxiety with me, they have so much space grow in their brain, like open up, because which was all taken by anxiety.
Yeah.
Then they find their purpose, like a lot of them, and then they want to start a whole new business.
Mm.
Then they can't want to do still coaching, not because of anxiety, but now we have such a beautiful bond that now we're going deeper into how to unblock other parts of life. Not anxiety, nothing like that, but more gaining more clarity, working more on clarifying confidence. What does that look like? Morals, all these things, right? But for anxiety, yes, 8 weeks. And if you never want to see me again, don't have to.
Yeah, I think that's a very big positive indicator because a lot of therapists, it's not intentional maybe, but they want to, see you for as long as possible, I guess, or so that's a very positive thing. We'll put all the details in the description, and of course, if there's any question, we're gonna put BB's social media
Yes,
handles so they can directly message you
of
there
course,
and
always.
get more information. And yeah, it was great to have you, BB.
Thank you so much. It
I'm
was my
excited
pleasure.
to promote the program and show
Yes.
everyone what you're about, and we look forward to having you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.